Mario Alfredo Michelini with Ryan Griffin. Thank you, Ryan, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Ryan, you played in the NFL. You're a former NFL quarterback. You played in New Orleans and Tampa Bay. Then you packed your things, get your beautiful wife and child on a plane alongside your brother McLean and boarded for an adventure to Varese, which is a town north of Milan, where you played there and you are actually the reigning IFL MVP. The question is very simple, very straightforward. Why, Ryan?
That's a great question. It doesn't have a simple answer, but there's so many things that worked out with the timing and the place where we wanted to go and the situation there that it really was a no-brainer. I always wanted to play with my brother. I always wanted to play overseas, and my wife and I love to travel. And Italy is one of my favorite countries that I'd ever visited before. And so all of those things paired with the town of Varese and what the opportunity was to be able to coach and play, it was just the perfect situation. And we were looking for adventure and we got one.
Yeah, so a couple of reels on your Instagram where you and your family had a very good time in Italy, and we're very proud of that. And also having you here and watching you play very up close was extremely entertaining, of course. MVP without any question, but at the end of the day, you fell short as you lost the semifinal to Parma, the eventual winner, and they deservedly won last year. And the question that I would like to pose you is. Being a football guy, what does the Italian movement need to do in order to increase the popularity of this beautiful sport also in our country?
I think Italy's doing a great job. I think the biggest thing is bringing along young players and getting more people involved in the game. And I think the growth of the flag football movement is a major factor in that. I was someone that played flag football all the way till high school. And so until I was 15, I only played flag. And I think the development of the skill players is so much greater in flag because in tackle at a young age, it's really just handoffs, and whoever the bigger kid is going to dominate.
Mhm.
But in flag, it brings everybody in, all sizes of people, and you really develop the movements, the skills, the hand eye. And so I would say continue to pour into the flag football movement for young kids.
Yeah, and also maybe the Olympics in Los Angeles in
Yeah.
2028 would support that.
Yeah, that's going to be a big factor. And I actually have talked to people in the United States who are shocked how big flag football has gotten here. And I am like, yeah, well, there's going to be the Olympics with flag football in it. And they're just shocked. I'm like, yeah, flag's going to be Olympic sport now. And so people don't even, in America don't even know that, but it's huge for the women and for the men, especially internationally.
Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, and we have a very good national team here in Italy, which came second to the United States in the World Games. Right after the season, where you finished your duty here in Italy, you signed with the Chicago Bears, working with Matt Eberflus, with Coach Eberflus, as an assistant wide receiver and quarterback coach. Training the likes of Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. What were the aspects of your assistant job tenure that you thought would have been different in comparison to what you learned and experienced during your playing days?
It's a great question. There's way more organization that goes into preparing for a practice and let alone a game that takes a lot longer and is a lot more thought out than I originally had thought. Um, and as far as my job, I was a lower man of the on the totem pole, and so there was a lot of that work of like, okay, I have to draw the pictures so that you guys know what they're doing for practice or for the games, and how hard it is to bring all of the offensive line, receiver, tight end, quarterback, running back, and make sure everybody's on the same page at that high of a level is really an exhaustive process.
Yeah, it's called at times it's called in coaching, the iceberg. You don't see it in the surface, but the work
Yes.
that goes into it's really crazy. And of course, you worked on Caleb Williams and Romeo Donze, but also the Bears have signed a lot of young players. What can you tell us about the talent level in that team? Should the supporters of the Chicago Bears, that are plentiful here in Italy as well, be concerned or be optimistic about that?
I think definitely optimistic. There's a lot of young talent. But most importantly, there's a lot of young guys that will be great leaders on the team. And I think that's one of the biggest factors of being successful in the NFL is having the right key players in place that can play but also can lead others, because it is the best team sport out there and it takes everybody to be successful.
Yeah, speaking about the NFL, let's go a little bit into your NFL career. You were not drafted out of Tulane after being one of the best quarterbacks in the history of that college, but you were picked by the Saints, the free agent. Spent a couple of years there before having a long tenure on the Buccaneers practice squad or as a first string quarterback, being, by the way, on the roster that took home the 2020 Lombardi Trophy. Is there a sliding doors moment in your NFL career that determined you having a lengthy experience amongst the pros and had an impact on your current knowledge of the game? Was there a moment in which your career changed either for the best or for the worst?
Another good question. Going to the Buccaneers was a big moment in my career just for the development. So when I was in New Orleans, I was the backup or I was the third string to Drew Brees. And because you have Drew Brees at quarterback and he was younger at the time, there wasn't going to be a lot of development for me. And so being cut by the Saints was actually a great moment for me. I got to go to the Bucks where they had just drafted Jameis Winston, the first pick, but they were looking to develop the whole quarterback room as a group of young guys. And so I was able to get more reps and work on my craft and my game and really improve. And so that was a major moment for me.
Yeah, you mentioned Drew Brees having an NFL career, even if not as a protagonist, exposes you to some of the best athletes in sports. Of course, you spent time with Drew Brees, not that much, and with Tom Brady. In my opinion, with Peyton Manning, the three quarterbacks that ruled the NFL for an entire 20-year span, and how different was their approach to work, Breeze and Brady's approach to work, and have you found a common characteristics that made them what they were as players?
Well, it's funny you say that because Bruce Arians and his staff coached Peyton Manning. And so I played behind Drew Brees, I played behind Tom Brady, and coached by the coaches that coached Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
So I thought what was interesting is so was in New Orleans for 2.5 years, and then I went to Tampa Bay, and I was there for 4 years, and then, yeah, 4 or 5 years, and then we brought in Tom Brady, 5 years. So 5 year break from Drew to Tom. But when Tom got there, he approached the game the exact same as Drew. And so what I had thought was the right way to play quarterback because I had learned from Drew Brees was just confirmed by Tom Brady 5 years later because he did the same thing. He prepared the same way. He had the same mindset every week. And so to me, that is how you need to play the position to be successful.
Great insight. Thank you very much, Ryan. At Tulane, you played 39 games as a starter, achieving several records as a passer that stand also to this day. Your college career saw you walk away with a 60% completion percentage and several occasions in which you threw for over 400 yards or more for more than 60 times. You are in the Tulane Hall of Fame. That's for sure, and that's to be expected. What is the secret of this program staying as solid as it is? Are you afraid that they may take some steps back in a scenario in which big conferences get even more attention and small colleges are taking the back seat? Or the vicinity to New Orleans as a big city, as a huge city, provides enough guarantees that they stay relevant. Of course, the question comes from our, college football department, which is very active at Adult Magazine.
Yes. So I think Tulane's in a very unique situation with it being in New Orleans. So Tulane is 5 miles from downtown New Orleans, and Mardi Gras is happening as we speak. And when I was in college, you could walk out of your dorm room, bring some alcohol, and walk down the street to the parade and have a blast. And so there's not any other school that offers that and that much fun at your fingertips. Um, Now, the landscape of college football is changing, and I think Tulane will stay relevant as a major player as long as the college football playoff still brings in a small school to the playoff because Tulane can be always competitive for that one place and keep them in the national spotlight if they're able to get that top spot. Obviously Boise State got it this year, but in previous years that would have been Tulane. And I think we can be that team that makes it. And you saw it. We beat USC in the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago. We can beat some of these big schools.
Yeah, it's just a matter of having that chance really, and Tulane will deliver because of this market proximity. We are accustomed to hear stories, and they're very fascinating about the players in the U.S. being lifted up by educators at college level or coaches at college level that take you to the pros and shape your personality or and professional life. Is there a single person at Tulane that you want to call out that shaped your career the way it has been since, that taught you the most that you could get?
Mike New was my quarterback coach my last year at Tulane, and Eric Price was the offensive coordinator. And they allowed me to have total control of the offense. And what I mean by that is I was able to call my own plays at the line of scrimmage or audible out to whatever I saw. And they really empowered me to do that. And I think because they did that, it gave me a lot of confidence. I also was very successful. That's when we were throwing for a lot of yards, um, and so it grew my knowledge of the game. And I'm not a very fast, athletic quarterback, and so you have to be able to process fast. And so that really helped with that development, and I feel like was a major reason that I lasted so long in the NFL.
And whoever watched you playing in Italy, in Varese, I used to watch you from the sideline, reporting from there, and I truly understood that the things that you were contributing the most were on the snap, right after the snap, right before the snap. So that's definitely true, and definitely these people empowered you to be a better player and understanding the game better.
And if I
Uh,
may speak on that, I that was one of the most impressive things to me about the Italian players was, and maybe that's just the Scorpion team in Varese, but they were very intelligent football players. So
Mhm.
they clearly played a lot of football or were just very smart. And so I was able to do a lot of the stuff that I did in college in the NFL with the offense because the guys were so smart. They could handle audibles at the line of scrimmage. They could handle signals like hand signals. So I was very impressed by the Italian players.
Yeah, we remind everybody that the Skorpions Varese has a lot of young wide receivers that have being formed by professional, semi-professional level at the NFL academy, had
Hmm.
experiences abroad. So it's very it's an ecosystem that creates some excellence. And thank you for testifying that. And by the way, I want to thank Enzo Petrillo and the Varese Scorpions to put me in contact with you. That was great. Ryan, last thing, future plans. I cannot avoid this. What's in store for Ryan Griffin next?
That's a great question. I don't have a great answer for you. I'm working through that right now. I'd like to continue coaching. Um, my brother texted me the other day asking me to go back and play football in Italy. So that's always crossed our minds. Um, but I'm not sure. Like to keep coaching, and we'll see. We'll go from there.
But we'll see, and we'll see. We're gonna be there to report whatever your decision is. Of course, I want to thank the editors at Adult Magazine for making most of the questions that you labeled as very good questions. So pretty happy that we all collaborated towards this interview. And of course, Ryan Griffin, thank you very much for being with Adult Magazine tonight.
No, no problem. Thank you for having me.